Have you heard the name Yehuda Goethe? Of course you haven't.
You see, Yehuda was an ordinary Jew who dared to live in the land of Israel.
He was a nameless face to the mainstream media 2 years ago.
He was also a nameless Jew to the Arab terrorist who drove up to a bus stop and shot him dead with a weapon he had hidden under a prayer mat.
Yehuda died simply for the crime of existing in the land that was promised to him by God himself.
As Christians, we've been silent long enough.
Say their names.
What about Rabbi Moshe Kravitsky? Have you ever heard of him? Probably not.
You see, Moshe was also a nameless face to most of the world, including the terrorist who purposely rammed him with his car whilst he was cycling in his native city of Beersheba.
Moshe died simply for the crime of existing in the land promised to him by God himself.
As Christians, we've been silent long enough. Say their names.
And so the list goes on and on. Eliyahu David K. of Jerusalem,
a recent immigrant from South Africa, was gunned down in a terror attack in Jerusalem on his way to prayer at the Western Wall.
Yehuda Dementman, a father of one from the Jewish community of Shavei Shomron,
and a student at the yeshiva in Chomesh, was killed in an ambush as he was returning home from studying at yeshiva.
Menachem Yehezkel, resident of Beersheba, was killed in a ramming and stabbing attack at a shopping mall.
Shirel Abukaret of Netanya was killed in a terror attack which took place on a main street in Hadera.
Yezin Fala,
Kisra Sumi,
Victor Sorokopat,
B'nai Brak,
Amir Kori,
B'nai Brak,
Eitam Megini,
Tel Aviv,
Yonatan Chavakuk,
Elad,
Oren Ben Yifta,
Lod,
Moti
Ronan
Ashkenazi,
Shalom,
Yaakov
Sofer,
Yisrael
Hadassah,
Paleh, Irina Orlov, Tomer, Noah Barfala. All of these Jews and many more were murdered in the last 2 years alone. And what was their crime? Existing in the land promised to them by God himself. As Christians, we've been silent long enough. Say their names.
Say their names. Say their names. After spending almost 20 years here in Judea and Samaria, I've witnessed firsthand the vile hatred of the Jewish people. There is no justice in this violence. We as Christians, and we celebrate the creation of the state of Israel. But was it necessary for 6 million Jews to be slaughtered for this miracle to occur? The truth is, Jews are still being murdered for the crime of being Jewish. The world continues to justify Israel's existence through the blood-soaked hands of its enemies. Where was Christianity in 1938? Where are we now? Is there a consequence for indifference, for not engaging when we see and hear what the prophets said would happen? Oh God, have mercy on us for arrogantly looking at prophecy and reveling in the persecution of God's chosen as if this is the sign of our own redemption. There will never be salvation for any nation or person who participates or justifies the punishment of God's elect, period. You and your congregation are the game changer in this horrific story. Come join us on the mountains of Israel. Together we can undo the criminal injustice of our past and join the celebration of Israel's prophetic destiny. The prophet Zephaniah gives us the appropriate response. Sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all your heart, daughter of Jerusalem. The Lord has taken away your punishment. He's turned back your enemy. The Lord, the King of Israel, is with you. Never again will you fear any harm. On that day, they, and they is you and me, will say to Jerusalem, do not fear Zion, do not let your hands hang limp. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you. He will rejoice over you with singing.